Well, if I take you all inside of our geode, look at this. Oh my goodness. So here's what's gonna happen. Oh yeah, and we've already got a few more. Hello everybody and welcome back to some more FTB Skies 2. Today, we are going to be getting into our first bits of magic. At least I think it's the first bits of magic. I don't entirely remember everything I've done on this so far, to be honest. I think it's the first bit, unless you want to count mystical agriculture. But today we're getting into my personal favorite magic mod, Ars Nouveau. And I'm getting... Oh! Hey, I was getting pricked by an Ars Nouveau. Yay! So for us to start Ars, we've actually started the journey a little bit early. I actually got a Mage's Spellbook from some other reason. I think it was a quest reward or something, but I got it randomly, so I ended up making a Novice Spellbook to kind of get the whole quest line started early, and after that was a checkable. So, to start our quest officially, we need to start off by getting ourselves the Archwood trees. I was thinking Magewood trees for something, but I was mixing things up. For us to get those, though, we are going to need to do something very special. We are going to need to take these emeralds and perform a massive ritual that is known as capitalism. As right over here, we need to buy this from this guy. Oh my gosh, look at them. What in the... Flashing Archwood? That's new. Wait. If there's a new Archwood, does that mean there's a new Golem? We'll grab one for the road. For right now, though, we are going to need all of the other 4 Archwoods. I don't know how this one plays into it, but you know what? We're going to go ahead and grab it, just for the sake of things, because we need all of the Archwoods. And you know what? Since there's more than I accounted for, we're going to need it all. Even if we don't need it, we need it now. Now, unfortunately, this throws me off a little bit. The picture on the quest has an Archwood sapling, but it's not to get the sapling, it's to get the actual wood. So now what we're gonna go ahead and do is, why are there just stumps here? I'm stumped as to why there are stumps here. Boo! And there she blows. It ate the spruce. just as well, honestly. The Archwoods are majestic trees, they are. And apparently, I cannot ulti-mine the whole thing. But yeah, there we go. Now we've got ourselves our Archwood logs. Now, all of the Archwoods change into the same planks, so it really doesn't matter which one of these I decided to use, because for the rest of these guys, I really just need them as saplings, because that's going to help me with getting the Tablet of Awakening later, along with the Flourishing Archwood specifically. So that's why I chose this one. But now that we've done this, we now have unlocked a few extra paths. One of which is the path of starting glyphs, which would be the way to make more spells for this. Now, for me to get that, I would just need to get a scribe's table. But I don't actually need to do that, because as it turns out, in the sky villages around the overworld, we can actually find scribe's tables right here. So I could just go ahead and pick this baby up, and there we go. Now I've got that one done. There's also actually a thing for Iron Spells and Spellbooks mod right over here. I'm guessing it's something similar. I've never actually touched that mod before, though. I have been curious to try the mod out before. It looks like it's got a lot of customizations, but, you know, that's not what this mod is for. Today, we are doing Ars Nouveau. I'm not going to focus on the glyphs today. What I want to focus on is the next thing, which is a core crafting component in a lot of Ars Nouveau, which is source gems. Now, source gems are made in varying ways. One way I can use it is with lapis, and another is with amethyst. But before we can even focus on that, we need to first get ourselves this imbuement chamber. What this baby would do, if I go ahead and put this down anywhere, I'm going to put it here for temporary purposes, and then just put either lapis or amethyst in here. This will then start slowly crafting and shifting it to be able to make ourselves our source gems. Now, this is slow, but it can be sped up through 2 means. One mean is to get this baby some source. Now, I don't know if I can craft this before I get source gems. I can't, but we get source through these source links, which means I'm gonna need at least 2 of these guys before I can start speeding this up in this way. But there is another way for me to do that, and that's with the temporal pouch. So if I just go ahead and speed this baby up, there we go. Now we got ourselves a source gem. So then I can go ahead and pour another one of these babies into here. And that should then lead us with enough to be able to start this baby. So now that I got the source gems, we can go ahead and make ourselves a source link, as well as some source jars to be able to hold them. Now, source jars are fairly easy. We just need some glass and some of these guys. I need more archwood. There we go. Now we got ourselves the source jar, which should allow us to hold our source. As for the source link, there's actually a few multiple different ones which generate different sources of power. All you need to know is the only one that I can really do right now that's viable is going to be the agronomic source link. And what this baby does is it will respond to plant growth. So if I go ahead and take this here, and then we take this over to our mystical agriculture farm. But yeah, there we go. Now these guys are already filling it up with source. And since I have a buttload of speed upgrades underneath these guys, this should now start to hopefully work. But here's the question. If I use the watering can, does this work to help speed it? Oh yeah, it does. The other source link isn't reacting for some reason though. I don't know why. But yeah, it looks like I'm gonna need to stick in on a storage upgrade though if I want this to go even better. Or alternatively, I could set up the actual auto crafting to get myself to Supremium at some point. That'd be fun. With this, we can get more of our source gems. And with those source gems, we can make ourselves essences. These essences are going to be vitally important for progressing to a place where we need to be. And I'm gonna need all of them. Now, if I'm going to do this, and I am going to do this, I want this to be automated. Now, there is a special feature about when these things are being crafted, but for the most part, I'm going to save that for whenever we actually get into that. The first thing we need to focus on would be getting enough source gems to automate this. And that means we need to automate source gems. So we need to automate Amethyst. To do that, we're going to need to go down this quest line over here. So our first steps is going to be to get ourselves some source stone and also some pedestals. But before that, I suppose I should also just show you guys how much faster this is with the source. Like, look at that. Leagues faster. Even faster than with the temporal pouch. It's just done. Now, the source stone's actually the easy part because all we need is just some stone of some kind, which I should ideally be able to use the kivy for. Yeah, I can. And then that gets me 8 source stone. I'm going to need to go ahead and grab a few of these. This might be a bit overkill on those terms, but in all honesty, I'm fine with overkill because as long as it's effective, it should be fine. So yeah, we're going to need to make 4 of these arcane pedestals, which, yeah, the only thing I'm missing is just going to be a few gold nuggets. So then after that, this is where these are going to split off into 2 places. The first place we need to go is to get the enchanting apparatus. Now, the enchanting apparatus will allow us to do a lot of magical mumbo jumbo and stuff, but it's not that hard to get. It's just more of the source gems and the source stuff. And then we're also going to need this arcane core to get this baby to work. But what we do is we put this arcane core here, and then our enchanting apparatus above that. Then we need to have our 3 pedestals over here. Depending on the source recipe that we're doing with these, we would need more of these arcane pedestals for our ingredients. But for the thing that we are going to make, which is going to be this Dominion wand, we should only need 3. So now for us to craft it, we just need to go ahead and put a gold here, a source gem here, and then another source gem here. It doesn't need to be in a specific order. We just need to have them on the pedestals. And then we put our stick in here. Now, if we try to put the stick in first, it wouldn't work. So you need to have a valid recipe going first. So it just flat out won't work if I had tried to do this incorrectly. But there we go. Now we have ourselves our Dominion wand. Now that we have our Dominion wand, you might wonder, what is this thing actually for? Well, it's for these guys here, which can all be summoned. The thing I do want to summon, though, is the Amethyst Golem, which means for us to get this next part, we're going to need an Amethyst Charm. For us to get that, we're going to need to do our first ritual. Well, our first other kind of ritual. This is the only one that's officially a ritual. This one's just more enchanting, but it's all rituals, basically. I'm pretty sure that was the last of our source. So there we go. Now we combine that with an arcane pedestal and those guys, and now we get ourselves our ritual razor. But that leaves the question, how is this going to help us with rituals? Well, the ritual razor uses tablets of rituals. Each tablet does a various thing. We actually have a few tablets right here. One for containment, which sticks mobs into jars. And it can also help us for when we try to reach the end of this quest line to get ourselves our tier 3 spell book. But the biggest thing we want to deal with is the Tablet of Awakening, which is the reason why we actually needed the other saplings, was for us to get this. And fortunately, I got a source block, which is exactly enough for us to be able to make this baby. There we go. Now we've got ourselves our Tablet of Awakening. If I want to get another, I'll have to buy a few more of those other guys. I probably should have grown them for that, but that's fine. So now what we need to do, I actually want to go ahead and take this over to here, because this needs a budding amethyst. So what's going to happen is I'm going to put this here. We're going to light this, and then I'm going to activate it. And what it's going to do is it should take this budding amethyst. It's going to sacrifice it, but it should be fine. I have a few other blocks of amethyst underneath it, so it should hopefully affect those. And there we go. We now have ourselves our amethyst golem. It's called a Geor golem for some reason. It's probably from the conflicts. But once we go ahead and take this guy, we should, store the entity. And then we should bind its home to here. It is now going to start. Yes, it's doing it. It is converting our blocks of amethyst into amethyst budding blocks. He's going to keep doing that. So I'm going to go ahead and grab myself my hoe from over here, because this does work with budding amethysts and stuff. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start twerking around this baby to try and get our amethyst to grow. Yes, it's begun growing. And what's going to happen is once we get a full crystal, yeah, there we go. We have one right there. What he's going to do is eventually he's going to notice that these guys are full, and he is going to take exception to that. So yeah, there we go. We got all three of these guys full. Golem, I'm pretty sure you need to do something about this golem. There is something wrong here. There is an offender golem. You must act. Do something. Do anything. Why aren't you doing anything? It's entirely possible that I need to set its home to a chest, because I know it will send things into a chest. So if I bind him to there, will you work now? Because you're supposed to work with about a 10 block radius. So are you not working because you're a Geor instead of an actual amethyst golem? Okay, there's a thing I can do. If I kill him, it should, yeah. Now we've got ourselves our amethyst golem charm. If I go ahead and summon him now, okay, yeah, now he's a proper amethyst golem. So if I go ahead and store you and then set your home, instantly he works. So here's what's gonna happen. He is going to start slowly taking the amethyst that forms from these guys, and he is going to put them in more drawers. And he is going to keep taking blocks of amethyst and converting them into budding amethyst. I don't know if he speeds up the budding amethyst or not, but this should be fine. So yeah, this is how we're gonna go ahead and farm amethyst. But it is still a little bit slow at its current scale. So what I'm gonna do is something big.
3 hours later.
Alrighty, as you can see right behind me, I've got it all set up. So I moved the source jar and all this stuff over to here. That way we could get this all going faster with the source actively going in. We've got our amethyst automation going on right here. But you might be wondering, where is the amethyst coming from? Where is the golem you just made? Well, if I take you all inside of our geode, look at this. Oh my goodness. So here's what's gonna happen. Oh yeah, and we've already got a few more. I added 2 more amethyst golems. And what these guys are gonna do is they're going to slowly change out these blocks of amethyst for budding amethyst. And I don't know why this has started happening, but at some point they just sort of stopped breaking the amethyst clusters, but still got amethyst from them. I don't know why it's happening, but it's happening. So now those guys are getting it, and instead of having them pick it up and put in an inventory source, you know, I could do that, but then they wouldn't be working. You know, we don't want them to waste company time and all that. I made an absorption hopper in order to be able to pick up the dropped items before they do and send it into this framed controller access point, which I have framed to look like amethyst to fit the scenery, to then send it over to its required drawers. Combined with a loaded chunk And we've got ourselves a working amethyst farm. This is a good first step in our Ars Nouveau journey. So, where this leads us from here is this. We need these guys, so that way we can start getting ourselves more of these essences. We need these essences to help us get this thing, the Mark of Mastery, which this is going to be one of the things we could get to get ourselves end portal frames. We'll get down that train soon enough, because before we can even do that, we're going to need to automate all these essences, and also have taken on the Wilden Chimera, which is a whole other can of worms. So with that wrapped up, the only thing left for us to do now is open up today's chance cube. Yes, it is that part of the show where I risk the entire series for your entertainment. Let us see what we get this time. I couldn't even tell what just happened. Did you like this video? Good. Then be sure to check out our last FTB Skies 2 video where we got our ore processing set up. Bye!